The discovery. The crystalline halls of the Galactic Archive hummed with an energy that hadn't been felt in 3,000 years. Deep within its quantum processors, ancient algorithms stirred to life, triggered by a discovery that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Zephyr's forearms trembled as she stared at the data streaming across her archaeological scanner. The Kelvan archaeologist had been mapping dead systems in the outer rim when she stumbled upon something that shouldn't exist. Surrounding a modest yellow star were warning beacons, ancient beyond measure, each one broadcasting the same message in over 10,000 languages, including some that predated the archive itself. She translated the message again, hoping she had made an error. But the words remained the same across every tongue. This system is protected. Entry means death. You have been warned. The peculiar thing wasn't the message itself. The galaxy was littered with territorial warnings from extinct civilizations. What made Zephyr's discovery extraordinary was that these beacons were still powered, still transmitting, and according to her scans, had been doing so for at least 50,000 years. The technology required to maintain such devices for that duration was beyond anything in the known galaxy. Zephyr initiated a priority transmission to the archive. Within moments, her discovery triggered cascading alerts throughout the massive structure orbiting the administrative world of Centrum. The archive's threat assessment system, a relic from the days of the First Federation, began its analysis of the mysterious system and its third planet, locally designated as Earth. 3 sectors away, Captain Thrix stood on the bridge of his conquest vessel, reviewing potential targets for the hegemony's expansion. The reptilian commander's scales shifted from green to amber as new data flooded his tactical display. His second-in-command, a 6-eyed Volanti named Krex, gestured excitedly at the readings. Captain, the archive has identified an unprotected pre-FTL civilization in Sector 779. Preliminary scans indicate significant resources and a compatible atmosphere for our colonists. Thrix examined the data with practiced efficiency. Earth appeared to be a typical primitive world, its inhabitants barely capable of leaving their planet's gravity well. Their technology seemed to rely on crude chemical propulsion and electromagnetic communications. By all standard metrics, it should be an easy conquest, perhaps requiring only a single dreadnought to secure submission. Set course for this Earth, Thrix commanded, his forked tongue tasting the air in anticipation. Ready the subjugation protocols. We'll give them the standard opportunity to surrender before we demonstrate our superiority. The hegemony fleet, consisting of 3 dreadnoughts and their support vessels, entered hyperspace with predatory grace. They emerged at the edge of Earth's solar system 6 days later, their sensors immediately detecting the ancient warning beacons Zephyr had discovered. Interesting, Krex mused, studying the beacons. These markers are incredibly old, but Earth's inhabitants show no signs of the technology required to create them. Perhaps they're remnants from a previous civilization that used this system. Thrix dismissed the concern with a wave of his clawed hand. Archaeological curiosities are irrelevant. Begin scanning for population centers and military installations. As the fleet moved deeper into the system, they detected a human vessel near Jupiter, a cargo hauler according to their classification systems. It was a bulky, ungainly thing, held together by what appeared to be improvised repairs and determination rather than elegant engineering. Perfect, Thrix hissed. We'll take them as samples for interrogation. Deploy Capture Squad 7. The Capture Squad's sleek assault craft accelerated toward the human vessel, which had begun broadcasting primitive radio signals. The squad commander, a veteran warrior named Gorth, listened to the translation with amusement. The humans were asking for identification and stating their peaceful intentions. Prepare the paralysis field, Gorth ordered. We'll disable their ship and collect the specimens. The assault craft closed to optimal range and activated its paralysis field, a technology that had successfully disabled thousands of vessels across the galaxy. The golden energy wave washed over the human cargo hauler, and then something impossible happened. The crude vessel's engines flared with unexpected power, and it rolled away from the field's influence, accelerating at rates that should have torn its fragile hull apart. How? Gorth snarled, watching his sensors in disbelief. The human vessel was now returning their scans with its own primitive sensors, and somehow, impossibly, it was adapting its electromagnetic shielding to match their paralysis field's frequency. The cargo hauler's captain, a weathered woman named Maria Santos, gripped her command chair as her ship shuddered under the strain of maneuvers it was never designed to perform. Her engineer, a young man who'd spent 3 years keeping the hauler running with spare parts and prayer, had somehow rerouted their mining lasers' power through their navigation shields, creating a crude but effective counter to the alien weapon. "I don't know how long this will hold." "Captain," he shouted over the strain of overworked systems. "Long enough," Maria replied, her fingers dancing over controls as she transmitted everything her sensors were gathering back toward Earth. "They wanted to capture us alive, which means they're not trying to kill us yet. That's their mistake." She activated the hauler's mining charges, devices designed to break apart asteroids, and jettisoned them in a precise pattern around their ship. The small explosives detonated simultaneously, creating a cloud of superheated plasma that temporarily blinded the assault craft's sensors. When Gorth's vision cleared, the human vessel was gone, having used the distraction to dive into Jupiter's radiation-heavy magnetosphere, where pursuit would be dangerous even for their advanced shields. "Impossible," Gorth breathed. "They adapted to our technology in real time. No pre-FTL species should be capable of this." Back at the archive, emergency alerts cascaded through the ancient structure. The threat assessment system had completed its initial analysis of humanity, and the results defied all conventional understanding. Archive keeper Eulos, a being so old that his species name had been forgotten, materialized in the central chamber where the Galactic Council had been hastily assembled. "Esteemed representatives," Eulos began, his voice carrying the weight of eons. "The system you know as Earth has triggered our highest threat designation for the first time since the Archive's creation." Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the assembled species. The highest threat designation was theoretical, a category created by the Archive's builders for civilizations that posed an existential threat to galactic stability. "Surely there's been an error," argued Counselor Vex, her crystalline form chiming with skepticism. "Earth's inhabitants haven't even achieved faster than light travel." Eulos gestured and holographic displays filled the chamber. "Our assessment is based not on their current technology, but on their rate of adaptation and historical patterns. Observe." The displays showed Earth's history, compressed into digestible segments. Wars fought with sticks and stones evolved into nuclear weapons in mere thousands of years. Diseases that should have destroyed them were conquered through ingenuity. Natural disasters that would have ended other species only made humans more resilient. "In the past 200 of their years alone," Eulos continued, "they've gone from horse-drawn carriages to spacecraft, from crude surgery to genetic manipulation, from isolation to global communication. Their rate of technological advancement increases exponentially with each challenge they face." The Council watched in stunned silence as the displays showed humanity's response to every existential threat, each solution more creative and unexpected than the last. "Furthermore," Eulos added, his ancient eyes gleaming with something approaching fear, "our deep archives contain records I was previously unaware of. Records that were sealed by my predecessors." New displays materialized, showing classified reports from various species spanning thousands of years. Each told a similar story of attempted infiltration or conquest of Earth, and each ended the same way with complete destruction of the invading force. The Zerion Empire, at the height of their power, sent a fleet of 100 vessels to Earth 3,000 years ago, Eulos revealed. None returned. The Zalathi Collective attempted biological warfare 2,000 years ago, introducing pathogens designed to eliminate humanity. Within 1 generation, humans had developed immunity and turned the pathogens into medical treatments. The most disturbing revelation came last. 500 years ago, the Dominion Eternal activated Protocol 7, a planet-killer weapon that had never failed. Earth survived. We don't know how. The only transmission received was from Earth's primitive radio signals shortly after, broadcasting music and continuing their normal communications as if nothing had happened. Captain Thrix, who had been monitoring the emergency session from his dreadnought, felt his scales turn pale. His fleet was now fully within Earth's solar system, passing the orbit of Mars. His sensors detected multiple human vessels altering course to intercept, each one as crude and ungainly as the cargo hauler, but moving with purpose and coordination that suggested something far more dangerous than their appearance implied. "Captain," Krex reported, his 6 eyes wide with alarm. "I'm detecting energy signatures from Earth's surface that don't match their supposed technology level. They're scanning us back, and their scans are somehow penetrating our shields." Before Thrix could respond, every display on his bridge flickered and displayed a simple message in perfect hegemony script. "We've been expecting you. Please leave or become another footnote in our history. This is your only warning." The message was signed simply, "The Children of Earth." The reckoning Ambassador Korvax had served the Galactic Council for over 3 centuries, mediating conflicts between species that had seemed irreconcilable. Yet as his diplomatic vessel approached the designated neutral zone beyond Neptune's orbit, he felt an unfamiliar sensation coursing through his consciousness. The Etherian diplomat had volunteered for this mission when others had cowered, but now, facing the reality of first official contact with humanity, he understood their fear. The human vessel that awaited him defied every expectation. It appeared to be a repurposed mining vessel, its hull scarred by countless micrometeorite impacts and hasty repairs. Yet Korvax's advanced sensors detected something else beneath the crude exterior. The ship's power signature fluctuated in patterns that suggested technologies his people had only theorized about. Sarah Chen stood in the airlock of the cargo vessel, checking the seals on her environmental suit one final time. As Earth's designated representative for this historic meeting, she carried the weight of 8 billion souls on her shoulders. The suit itself was a masterpiece of misdirection, appearing to be a bulky, primitive apparatus while actually containing defensive systems that would make the Galactic Council reconsider everything they thought they knew about humanity. "Remember," Director Harrison's voice crackled through her earpiece, "we're not trying to intimidate them. We're trying to establish understanding, show them enough to earn respect but not enough to provoke fear." Sarah smiled grimly. "With respect, Director, I think that ship has already sailed. They triggered the Archive's highest threat level just by analyzing our history." The airlock hissed open, and Sarah stepped into the neutral meeting pod that had been deployed between the 2 vessels. Ambassador Korvax was already there, his ethereal form shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that Sarah's linguistic implant translated as cautious greeting. "Ambassador Chen," Korvax began, his voice resonating through multiple harmonics, "I come seeking understanding. The Galactic Council is concerned about recent events." Sarah removed her helmet, revealing features that Korvax found surprisingly non-threatening. Her smile was warm, genuine, and completely at odds with the fear humanity had instilled in the galaxy. "Ambassador Korvax, humanity has been preparing for this moment for longer than you might imagine. Would you like to know the truth about Earth?" Korvax's form flickered, a sign of affirmation. Sarah gestured, and a holographic display materialized between them, showing Earth from orbit. But this wasn't the Earth that galactic sensors detected. This Earth was surrounded by an intricate lattice of nearly invisible satellites, each one connected by threads of light that formed a geometric pattern of stunning complexity. "We call it the quantum mesh," Sarah explained. "Your cargo hauler's encounter with our mining vessel wasn't our first indication of alien contact. We've been monitoring galactic communications for 73 years. Korvax's luminescence dimmed with shock. "Impossible. You lack faster-than-light technology." Sarah's smile widened. "We lack FTL travel, Ambassador. But quantum entanglement doesn't require travel, only understanding. We've been listening to your transmissions, learning your languages, studying your cultures, and preparing for the day you discovered us." The display shifted, showing a timeline of human technological development, but this timeline had 2 tracks, one public, one hidden. "In 1947, we recovered our first alien artifact from a crashed probe," Sarah continued. "We reverse-engineered what we could, but more importantly, we learned that we weren't alone. Every government on Earth agreed to the pretense protocol. We would appear primitive, disorganized, and harmless while secretly preparing for contact." Korvax processed this information, his form cycling through patterns of disbelief and understanding. "The wars, the conflicts we observed, all real," Sarah confirmed. "We're not a unified species, Ambassador. We fight among ourselves constantly. But when faced with an external threat, we have a remarkable ability to set aside our differences. It's happened throughout our history. We thought it might be our only advantage against technologically superior civilizations." She gestured, and the display showed footage from Earth's hidden facilities. massive underground complexes where scientists from every nation work together, developing technologies based on principles gleaned from intercepted alien transmissions and recovered artifacts. We never stole your technology, Sarah emphasized. We learned from observing it and developed our own solutions. The cargo hauler that escaped your capture squad? That mining laser modification was invented on the spot by a 23-year-old engineer who'd spent his entire life keeping dying equipment running. That's what makes us dangerous, Ambassador. Not our weapons, but our ability to adapt, improvise, and survive. Back at the archive, Keeper Yulo stood before the assembled council, presenting his final analysis. The ancient being's form seemed to flicker between dimensions as he accessed deeper levels of the archive's consciousness. The precursor races left us many gifts, he began, but they also left warnings. Earth was one such warning. The chamber fell silent as Yulos revealed records older than the Federation itself, inscribed in languages that predated known civilization. 50,000 years ago, Earth was visited by the architects, the beings who built the foundation of our galactic civilization. They found a young species there, barely capable of creating fire yet possessing something unique. The architects called it evolutionary potential beyond constraint. They placed the warning beacons and classified Earth with a designation that our modern systems could only interpret as, "Don't even think about it." Counselor Vex chimed forward. Why not simply destroy them if they were so dangerous? Because, Yulos replied, his ancient voice heavy with implication. The architects saw in humanity what they had once been themselves. A species that would either destroy itself or transcend limitation. They chose to let evolution take its course, but warned others not to interfere. The display showed a final record, a message from the last architect to visit Earth. They will sleep until woken. They will grow until challenged. They will unite only when divided they would fall. Let them be, or face the fury of a species that turns extinction into evolution. Meanwhile, Captain Thrix watched from his dreadnought as more human vessels emerged from Earth's gravity well. They weren't warships in any traditional sense. Cargo haulers, mining vessels, scientific research ships, even what appeared to be a repurposed cruise liner. Yet each one took position with military precision, forming a defensive grid that somehow made his advanced tactical computers struggle to find an optimal attack vector. Captain, Krex reported, his voice tight with concern, I'm detecting energy buildups across Earth's surface. Mountains, ocean trenches, even their cities. It's as if their entire planet is armed. Sarah continued her revelation to Ambassador Korvax. Every human city has fusion reactors that can be converted to directed energy weapons within minutes. Every communication satellite can become a targeting system. Every civilian spacecraft has been designed with modular hardpoints that can accept weapons or shields. We don't have a military fleet, Ambassador. When threatened, our entire civilization becomes the military. She showed him recordings of human emergency drills, millions of civilians moving with practiced efficiency, transforming infrastructure from peaceful to military purposes in minutes. But here's what the galaxy needs to understand, Sarah said, her tone becoming serious. We don't want to fight. We've seen what constant warfare does to a species. We've nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times. We learned from those mistakes. Korvax's form brightened. Then what do you want? To be left alone to develop at our own pace, Sarah replied. To make mistakes and learn from them. To reach the stars when we're ready, not when we're forced to. We'll defend ourselves if threatened, but we have no interest in conquest or expansion through violence. The revelation session in the archive had reached its climax. The Council faced a decision that would define galactic policy for millennia. Several factions called for immediate quarantine of Earth, others for preemptive strikes, and still others for attempts at alliance. Keeper Yulos raised his hand for silence. The archive has completed its full assessment. Earth's classification stands at the highest threat level, but with an addendum not seen since the architect era. Potentially beneficial if undisturbed. He displayed projections of various scenarios. If we attack Earth, even successfully, we will only accelerate their development. Every human survivor will carry the knowledge of their defeat and work to prevent it from happening again. Within generations, they will surpass us. If we quarantine them, they will eventually break free, potentially viewing the entire galaxy as hostile. If we leave them alone, The projection showed humanity slowly expanding into space, their technology developing along unique paths, eventually joining the galactic community as equals rather than conquerors or conquered. The database's recommendation stands, Yulos concluded. Don't even think about it. Not because they are our enemies, but because forcing them to become our enemies would be civilization's greatest mistake. Ambassador Korvax transmitted his findings to the Council in real time. Sarah had offered him something unprecedented, a formal treaty of non-interference. Humanity would remain within their solar system for the next 200 years, developing at their own pace. In exchange, they would share certain innovations through quantum communication, particularly in medicine and energy production. We've survived everything Earth could throw at us, Sarah explained. Diseases, disasters, ice ages, and our own stupidity. That knowledge might benefit others, shared freely rather than taken through conquest. Captain Thrix received the Council's decision moments later. His fleet was ordered to withdraw immediately and establish a monitoring station at a respectful distance. As his dreadnoughts turned away from Earth, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had narrowly avoided becoming another footnote in humanity's violent history. The new warning beacons were established within days, replacing the ancient architect markers with modern technology. The message they broadcast was simpler but no less effective. Earth system, sovereign territory of humanity, peaceful intent assured, hostile intent discouraged, classification. Don't even think about it. In the months that followed, something unprecedented happened. Ships began arriving at the monitoring station. Not military vessels, but scientists, historians, and diplomats. They came seeking knowledge, offering trade and information rather than resources. Humanity, through their quantum communication network, shared their unique perspectives on survival, adaptation, and innovation. The galaxy learned that the most dangerous species they had ever encountered was also potentially the most valuable, not as conquerors or weapons, but as examples of what determination and adaptability could achieve. Earth's children had looked at the stars not with dreams of conquest, but with curiosity and wonder, tempered by the hard-won wisdom of a species that had survived its own worst impulses. Director Harrison stood in Earth's hidden command center, watching the feeds from their quantum sensors. The immediate threat had passed, but he knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had announced itself to the galaxy not with weapons or warships, but with a simple truth that they would not be victims, they would not be conquerors, but they would survive and thrive on their own terms. Status report, he commanded. All defensive systems standing down, came the reply. Civilian infrastructure returning to standard configuration. The galaxy has acknowledged our sovereignty. Harrison nodded, then added, maintain quantum watch, and begin preparation for Phase 2. His aide looked puzzled. Phase 2, sir? Now that they know we can defend ourselves, we show them what humanity can build when we're not afraid. Start with the Mars terraforming project. Let them see that the species they feared might be the one that helps them save worlds they thought were dead. As Earth returned to its apparent normalcy, children played in parks, scientists worked in laboratories, and artists created beauty from chaos. The galaxy watched and wondered how a species that seemed so ordinary could be so extraordinary when challenged. The archive updated its records one final time, adding a notation that would be studied for millennia. Humanity, classification, don't even think about it, subcategorization, unless they invite you to think about it. Then prepare to have your mind blown. The stars continued their eternal dance, indifferent to the drama below. But for the first time in galactic history, a young species had forced an ancient civilization to reconsider everything. It thought it knew about power, progress, and potential. Earth's greatest weapon had never been technology or military might, but the stubborn refusal to accept that anything was impossible. And in the depths of space, the monitoring stations recorded something that would become legend. The sound of 8 billion humans, continuing their daily lives, unaware that they had just changed the course of galactic history simply by being themselves. Beautiful, chaotic, unpredictable, and unstoppable humanity.